Welcome to this place called Earth and the project Somatic Inversions, decoding the signals beneath behavior. In this short, attachment echoes how old imprints appear in new interactions. Take a slow breath and think of someone you felt pulled toward or someone you kept running from. This short inversion is this. Most of what you feel in relationships isn't about the person in front of you. It's your nervous system replaying attachment patterns wired long before you were conscious. Let's decode it. Attachment isn't just a style. Its somatic history attachment theory began with John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth, who showed that early relationships with caregivers shape how we seek closeness, deal with distance, and handle distress. Later, researchers like Hazan and Shaver and Bartholomew extended this into adult relationships: anxious, avoidant, secure, disorganized. But underneath those labels is something simpler. Your body learned how safe it was to need, how dangerous it was to be seen, whether comfort came consistently, erratically, or not at all. Those early patterns became somatic templates: how your chest tightens around conflict, how quickly you shut down, how fast you chase, how much you reveal, how long you stay. Attachment isn't just an idea. It's a nervous system strategy. Avoidance, when closeness once felt like overwhelm, avoidant patterns are often misunderstood as coldness or arrogance. But from an attachment lens, avoidance often comes from environments where emotions were too much, your needs were dismissed or shamed, independence was rewarded, vulnerability punished. So the body learns, closeness means losing myself. Needing people is unsafe. Somatically, that shows up as going quiet when things get emotional, feeling suffocated by too much contact, keeping conversations surface level, focusing on tasks, ideas, logistics, needing space after intimacy. The avoidant person isn't heartless. Their nervous system is simply calibrated to protect them from emotional overload. It's not about you, it's about an old echo. Pursuit, when distance once felt like abandonment. On the other end are pursuit patterns, often called anxious attachment. These often develop when affection was inconsistent, attention was unpredictable, and love felt like a moving target. The body learns, if I don't move toward them, they'll disappear. If I don't hold on, I'll be left. So the nervous system responds with needing reassurance, over-texting or over-explaining, analyzing every tone, pause and silence, escalating when the other withdraws, feeling panicked when things go quiet. This isn't clinginess in a moral sense. It's an attachment system scanning for signs of abandonment, because once, distance felt like danger. Again, not about this person, about the imprint. The distancing intensity loop, two nervous systems, old algorithms. When an avoidant nervous system meets a pursuing one, you often get the classic push-pull cycle that attachment researchers like Sue Johnson, Dan Siegel, and others describe. One feels overwhelmed and distances oneself. The other feels abandoned and it intensifies. Distance triggers more panic. Panic triggers more distance. Both feel misunderstood. It looks like an incompatibility. Underneath, it's two survival codes colliding. Each person thinks, you're the problem. You're too much. You're too distant. But really, their bodies are defending them from ghosts, old imprints wearing new faces. Intensity and chemistry. When your body recognizes familiar chaos, attachment science and trauma work overlap here. What feels like chemistry is often familiar dysregulation. The nervous system says, I know this kind of inconsistency. I know this sharp pull, push feeling. I know this emotional roller coaster. So, drama feels alive, unpredictability feels magnetic, calm feels suspicious, secure, love feels boring or off. Your body may be more attuned to chaos than to safety. Not because you're broken, but because chaos is what your system was trained on. It's an echo, not a destiny. Cling cycles. When the body can't find stable ground, cling leads to shame, which leads to retreat and panic, and then the need to cling again. This cycle is common in people whose attachment systems were never given a consistent template. From a somatic perspective, this isn't immaturity. It's a nervous system trying to secure connection, to avoid shame, to avoid abandonment, to avoid being too much, to avoid being alone, but with only two tools: grab harder or run away. Because it is irrational behavior, which is subconsciously driven by the body, there's no mental approach, only options of survival. This is the point: rational thought, critical thinking, the ability to vocalize what emotions you can, collapse in the nervous system state of fight, flight, or fawn, life or death. There's no thought that if I intellectualize and explain this way, it will land. That is lost, as panic sets in for either party. The vocal cords collapse, and the vocalized speech no longer comes from the conscious mind, but the irrational body and somatic experiences, imprints of actions as a child. What lands with one individual who may still be calm does not receive the messages, as the communication channel is lost, through nervous systems which are out of synchronization and the perception of the irrational behavior, e.g., why are they saying contradictory things? Why are they being mean or nasty? Becomes a threat in their body and begins firing from the subconscious mind into the conscious mind, which activates their nervous system into hypervigilance collapse. and both move into states of lower consciousness, only the actions of panic to survive, as disconnection from a loved one replicates the same conditions within the body as the loss of a loved one. The breakdown is created by the language differences of the rational language, which lands in the individual's brain, the irrational, which lands in the body, as the brain and body processes irrational and rational communications independently, not as one, which is greatly misunderstood. You can't intellectualize an individual to come out of nervous system collapse. Presence, regulated nervous systems, soothing, empathy, and understanding are the only ways to bring both individuals out of these states. Relationship is building a connection through steady states of nervous system alignment, not through the alignment of beliefs, thoughts, and ideologies. Only the acceptance of two individuals, pacifying their emotional states into a regulated state, which reopens the parasympathetic nervous system, is the point where emotive charge reduces and becomes a rational conversation and exchange once more, with less erratic and irrational behavior. The inversion we were told, you're just needy, you're emotionally unavailable, you've got issues, you sabotage things, you always pick the wrong people. Attachment science tells a different story. You're not reacting to this moment, you're reacting to every moment that taught your body what love feels like. Avoidance isn't cruelty, it's protection. Pursuit isn't weakness, it's protest. Intensity isn't proof of love, it's a familiar nervous system pattern. Clinging isn't childish, it's an attachment alarm. We're not defective, we're patterned, and patterns can be updated. So to close this short, the people in front of you are real, but the feelings they trigger are often much older than they are. When you recognize the echo, you stop turning every relationship into a battlefield, and you start meeting the younger version of you who learned to survive love the only way they could. That's where attachment stops being a sentence and becomes a doorway to healing.